Hello everyone, YouTube channel Cure for Ignorance. My name is Patrick Smith and talking today about nursery safety. My wife and I, before our daughter was born, spent a lot of time researching things about how to get the house ready and how to get the nursery ready. And one thing we looked at is ways to prevent S.I.D.S. If you don't know, S.I.D.S means Sudden Infant Death Syndrome. And they don't really know exactly what causes it, but we're looking at data that can kind of correlate what might be some environmental factors for what causes S.I.D.S. And Sudden Infant Death Syndrome typically happens between 1 month and 1 year. But obviously there are outliers with anything. So the idea behind this is that if the nursery, specifically if it's too warm, that can possibly be a leading factor or a contributing factor rather to S.I.D.S. So most experts agree that the optimum temperature for nursery is somewhere between 68 degrees Fahrenheit and 72 degrees Fahrenheit. And I'll put the Celsius conversion down here. I think it's between 20 and 22.2 if the math is okay in my head. Somewhere in that range is the ideal temperature for a nursery. So I created a little, it's not really invented, but I put together basically a household thermostat and a flashlight to try to come up with an early warning system for this. Now see, you can buy baby monitors that have temperature warnings in there for this exact reason that I'm doing it. But if you don't have a lot of money, if you have some extra parts around the house, this is something that's very simple to make and it's very straightforward. And I want to describe how I made it. Before I get too much into it, I want to tell you about how a thermostat works. Thermostat usually has 4 or 5 wires. We have a red, a white, a yellow, a blue, and a green. Okay. Some of you might not have the blue wire, or the colors might be different depending on what they actually use to wire your house, but typically 4 or 5 wires. The red wire comes up from the furnace, and basically that brings 24 volts AC power up to the thermostat. And the thermostat, all it is just a big switch. So if you want to turn the heat on, it puts power from the red wire to the white wire, and that tells the furnace to turn the heat on. If you want just the fan to turn on, it takes the red wire, puts that to the green wire, and just turns the fan on. And then the yellow wire is what would turn on your air conditioner unit outside, your outside condenser. And then if you got a blue wire, typically they use that as a common wire, so the thermostat will use red and blue internally to draw power from the furnace, and that allows you to have a thermostat that doesn't have batteries. So the thermostat I'm using for this is for a conventional system. You can wire it for a heat pump, but a conventional system is going to be an easier one because we're actually going to use the cooling function of the thermostat. And so we're going to take a wire from a flashlight, is what I did. So we got a flashlight here, and I've taken a red wire and a yellow wire from the flashlight and interrupted the battery contacts in the flashlight. So basically you get your battery, it's a circuit, and I've taken that circuit between the batteries, the light bulb, and going back to the batteries, I've split that and taken one of those wires to the red on the thermostat, specifically the RC, the power for cooling on the thermostat, and the yellow wire, which is for the cooling. So what we've done then is that now I have a thermostat, and I can put this thermostat on the base here. And the thermostat is from Menards, and it was 15 or 20 bucks. You can get them relatively cheaply. And the headlamp here, I just had extra ones of those because if you watch my other videos, you know that I'm not a big fan of store flashlights, and I've got a lot of junky flashlights here. I've taken the guts out of this and made it a pretty dumb switch. There's no other settings on it or anything. And now, since I've held it in my hands, you can see that the thermostat now reads 73 degrees. And so I've set this now for 72 degrees. And so when now it hits 72 degrees, this light turns on. So it's a silent alarm. It's not going to wake the baby up, but since the baby's going to be in our room or the living room, this will certainly wake me and my wife up because we're pretty sensitive to light when we're sleeping. And then when the thermostat then satisfies, when it goes back below 72 degrees, after we've gotten up and adjusted the temperature, then the light will then go off. So for 15, 20 bucks for the thermostat and the light, which is really free, but you can get those for 2 or 3 bucks at Menards, and a little bit of wood, we now have a small signaling device for when the nursery is too hot. As far as how tall I made this, just a piece of a stair runner and a piece of wood, and I made this just slightly taller than the highest setting for the crib. So when the baby's laying in the crib, it's going to be slightly above the baby because obviously heat rises. So if it's less than 72 degrees directly above the baby, it'll be less than 72 degrees at the baby's level. And then obviously as the baby gets bigger and you lower the setting of the crib, then you're always above the baby, so you make sure that it's 72 degrees or less for the baby. So it's a very simple way that I found to try to help ensure that the nursery is cool enough and to protect the baby in the nursery. So if you like the video, like, comment, subscribe. Appreciate that. If you have ideas for future videos or something you're interested in, we kind of do a new topic a week and a little bit of self-defense and gun stuff thrown in there for good measure. So thanks a lot. Patrick Smith, YouTube channel, Cure for Ignorance. Appreciate you watching.